Leo, after like it kind of felt like a couple months of speculation, probably a bit longer actually, because we've been hearing
We know
rumors
he
of
we knew for a fact he wasn't going to
he wasn't
PSG.
going
He
to,
was
yeah, he
yeah.
wasn't going to stay with PSG. That their ties kind of got split midway through the season, especially after did his home not get vandalized by like PSG ultras or something like that? I know
I
that
wouldn't be surprised.
they rioted in front of PSG head offices, the ultras, and I think they also showed up at Neymar's house, which is kind of weird because why? Like he if he
Yeah, if you're a fan, don't go outside people's houses. That's
yeah.
weird. No matter what,
Uh
like no matter how bad they are on the ice, no matter how bad
Yeah.
they are on the
No
pitch.
matter how many promises a team sells you and they come up short, just don't attack people's like livelihoods or like, their place of
Uh,
residence.
yeah, there's a point where it's just weird. But anyway,
Yeah, that was I think that was the official like that was the severing point between the two. I thought legitimately like that Messi was going to end up back in his home at Barcelona. I legitimately thought that
he
for a
will.
long time. I think he'll
They're gonna
he'll
do a loan system. Like they're
I think
gonna
he'll
have
re
him. Yeah.
he'll end up retiring there, I think, though, Bry. I think he will, if even if it's like a 10-day contract just to retire there, I think because he needs
How old
the
is he right now?
Like
35.
35. But Messi at 35 is the equivalent of like anybody in their prime. You know, like
Do
he's
we
still a
have
world-class
a?
player.
Is there a
He'll still,
length on his Inter Miami deal?
I don't
Or
know actually.
No, I'm not sure.
It's been weird. So Messi is, the talk was, is he gonna go to Saudi Arabia for it was like a reported 3 years, 1.6 billion euros. That was the final offer.
Yes.
Um, or it kind of came out of left field too, going to America, and he chose America, and I think it was genuinely for the best. But the thing is, with the contract, we've gotten like bits and pieces of the actual details of the contract, so we know that he's going to be getting a percentage of the Apple TV revenue. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, the Apple TV bought the all the rights for the
MLS.
MLS last season for well over a billion dollars, and they're really looking to make a return on their investment, right? And what a better way to get their return by getting potentially the
There
greatest football player of all time.
there's 30 companies involved with this. Every single MLS franchise has contributed to bringing
Yeah,
Messi in. There's
and
also
Adidas.
Adidas is also cutting a check, and there's also Apple, like with the Apple TV
Like
revenue
the
going
percentage,
towards,
yeah.
yeah, the percentage.
I don't know exactly how it's gonna like what the percentage is for Apple. Even with the Adidas one, it's still like a bit murky.
And
Um,
but with the true value is the option to buy a franchise because
yeah,
MLS franchises are equivalent. Like you're getting more bang for your buck than with the NHL franchise relative to like the actual roster spot. But
I'd
it's
be
interesting, you know.
I would be curious though to see how much he has to pay in the
It's gonna be
future.
like 50 million or something like that. Something ridiculously low. So,
Yeah,
like he's gonna get it for a fraction of the cost.
so case in point, when David Beckham left Europe, he left Madrid to go to LA, which was at that time like the that was a football changing, like that was a dynamic shift in the football landscape. Um when he left, one of the clauses in his contract was that he was able to buy a franchise, and I think they had it predetermined and set at
25 million.
25 million. By the time he bought the franchise, which is now Inter Miami, so it's David Beckham's team now that he owns that has Messi on it. The franchise tag like that you could buy in at is like it was at like 500 million. That was around the same time when or maybe it was a bit less. That was the same time as like Atlanta United coming into the league, and I know that they paid north of 250, north of I think 350, probably between 4 and 500 million euros or
so
dollars.
this is this around like what year is that? Atlanta, that's like 2015, 2016.
2014, 2015, something like that. So that's 10 years
So that's
ago, less than 10,
that's
almost 10
about
years.
in line with what Vegas paid for expansion. So
But
theirs
yeah.
was 500 to 600 million.
But the
And
like
now
the idea is that like with the MLS franchise, you're getting more
Now it's like,
bang for
yeah.
your buck than an NHL franchise. Like the
Yeah, because
franchise,
they're in like their exponential growth stage right now.
exactly.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
The NHL is plateaued. There is growth, but it's not at the
it's
rates of
the
MLS.
NHL has had a lot of growth because before the Vegas, like we had the what was it, 10 years between Vegas and who would have been the last expansion? It was Minnesota or
Expansion would have
Columbus,
been Minnesota and Columbus. I think did they come together or no?
maybe. If it's not
Yeah,
like by
I think it
one
was like
year.
that's like what 2002.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
at that time it was like 50 to 75 million. So
Wow.
there's an exponential jump there, or maybe it was 100 million. So that's 100 compared to what is 500 that or 4 to 500 that
It was either
Vegas
500 or
did.
600 million. And you know what? You're right. Maybe we are still in the exponential phase because what is Ottawa's rumored price tag?
Yeah, well
At
they're
1.2
north
billion.
of 1
Yeah.
billion. That's what they're asking
Yeah.
for.
So if you're let's say Bedman, we've talked about his stuff with like Salt Lake or Houston. If they wanted an expansion franchise, what is Bedman saying? He's saying, yeah, sure,
1.5.
1 billion. He's saying at least a bill flat.
Yeah.
And yeah, he could honestly push that.
Yeah,
He could,
100%.
right? So yeah, okay.
But Bryan does bring a good point with you definitely get more bang for your buck. Like Adidas and Apple TV as your main sponsors, there's just no beating that. It doesn't compare to like,
You're just printing
Fanatics.
money. Yeah,
Yeah,
Fanatics. Oh,
it
God.
is a
Why'd
money
you have to
printer.
remind me of that? That was gone
Unfortunately,
from my
right?
memory. Damn it.
It's you know what? In hindsight, we maybe should have seen it coming for Adidas to kind of cut their losses on the NHL because it looks like Adidas is taking
They're doubling down and
US.
going MLS.
Yeah,
Like
they're
even bringing
taking
Messi in, contributing to that. Messi's the biggest Adidas athlete. They want him on the center stage of
the
the
next
MLS, right? So
the next 4 years leading up to, or 3 years leading up to the 2026 World Cup will be the make or break,
for the MLS.
not just for the MLS, but for like North American soccer as a whole. This is go
It's
time.
true.
If it doesn't happen by 2026, oof, that's going to be a lot of lost money, I think.
It's true.
So he's not going to play in that though, right? Like Messi said,
He
he's done
might.
internationally, right? Oh, you think so? Yeah.
There's a
I don't
chance.
know. He's
They'll be
okay.
competitive
So
by then.
Outside shot, it's less
he
likely
has
than
said
Yeah.
he has retired already. Like he retired from Argentina once after I think it was
Copa
Copa
America
America.
2016.
yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
So it's happened
Okay.
once. He could say, "Yeah, I'm not coming back
He's
like
Tom
next
Brady.
year." Yeah,
Yeah.
he'll
Yeah.
be there if there is a chance for
Okay.
him to play. And if there isn't, he will be involved in that event.
Sure.
Ambassador,
Somehow.
something.
Did we ever
Something.
talk about the goddamn terrible logo
No.
for the
No, I don't think
2026
so.
World Cup?
Yeah, it's bad.
It's so
It's
bad.
really bad.
I just
They
had to
better
mention
change that up. Change it up
So, yeah.
before 2026.
I just wanted to say one last thing of how important this deal is for sports as a whole. Messi's, like, for people that don't know, he's like the Wayne Gretzky, if not greater than Wayne Gretzky when it comes to like soccer. He's by far the biggest athlete in the sport, like just tenfold.
All
Like,
time too.
there's no one that comes close. And when people know that, people will be willing to pay to watch. Like I'm like to the point where I'm considering getting Apple TV just to watch Messi. He's that
Yeah,
good,
I
and
am
he's
too.
yeah.
I was considering getting it just to watch TFC. Like they brought in big talent over the past off season.
Yes,
They
that's
brought
true.
in
But
Can't
they-
like if you,
stink.
yeah,
yeah,
well,
no, dude, like Insigne and Bernadeschi for TFC, like for the Italian population in Toronto. Those are two big names. Like they're notable names. And I was considering getting it before. And now that Messi's over, I'm like, wow.
there's a good chance we get it tomorrow. Is what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
But so the way I listened to this recent business podcast, and the way that Messi handled this transaction wasn't like, I'm a pro athlete. You're gonna pay me like a pro athlete. I'm gonna make a salary, and let's pretend I make $500,000 a week. Win or lose, goals difference doesn't matter. That we're throwing out the window. The way he sold himself was actually content, and in the sense that no matter what I do, people will watch, and I bring intrinsic value just by putting on this shirt. If I wear this Inter Miami shirt, your franchise value shoots up like crazy, right? And it's the idea that he's creating intrinsic value for the team greater than what he is like doing on the field. It's the idea that the player is bigger than the brand. And it's also the paradigm shift between, kids our age, I'm a Capitals fan till I die. But some people, they would support Ovechkin till they die over the Capitals, if that makes sense. And we're seeing a shift as the younger generation goes on. And where I'm going with this is that because of the fact that Messi brings intrinsic value to the franchise, let's say Inter Miami is worth 500 million. By signing Messi, they're worth $1 billion now. The delta he's being paid on is worth about the delta he's bringing to this franchise is worth about $500 million.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm going with this is this this potentially could be the start of players being paid on delta. And if I looked at this from the Oilers perspective, the Oilers have the best player in the league, bar none. He sells tickets. Connor McDavid is on every single TikTok, every single highlight reel. You can't go on Sportsnet without seeing a Connor McDavid highlight reel. Let's be honest here. So Connor McDavid was drafted in 2015. From 2015 to 2022, I'm using Statistica as my reference point here, which uses Forbes. And this is in the US millions of dollars. Since 2015, the Oilers have gone up in value by about, it looks like $700 million.
Holy hell.
$700 million is quite a bit. And if you look at the pure,
it's not bad.
That's a new NHL franchise right now.
essentially.
Yeah.
But that's the delta, $700 million from the point that Connor McDavid joined. The cap hit when he signed his $12.5 million record-breaking salary cap era contract was worth about 60%. If he was paid on delta, he would be making $138 million.
Oh, good Lord.
But,
oh my God.
But where I'm going with this is, let's pretend Messi is paid on delta from the point Inter Miami goes on, Inter Miami, for the time he's on the team, it leaves, right? So let's pretend that
let's just say 3 years.
3 years, the valuation goes up by $1 billion. He would be paid based on the growth of the $1 billion because he's bringing that intrinsic value to the team. He's creating a legacy that the team has that's now being associated with him, right?
I think that this makes sense, but for such a tiny select few athletes, right? If the Leafs sign Corbinian Holzer, okay, he comes out of retirement. I don't think Corbinian Holzer is going to be right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's not getting paid on delta like that.
But I think actually where this makes the most sense,
NFL,
the NBA. I think NBA.
The NBA.
Yeah,
the NBA especially because every team in the NBA has
where you have the stars that could shine the brightest.
If you're LeBron and you're willing to stay around the league to play 1 or 2 seasons with your son, that's where you go to that team and say, listen, I'm gonna shoot your franchise value up big time for these 2 years. So that's where it makes sense. I don't know if the NHL's there yet, and I don't know if Connor McDavid's the guy. I could see it making sense on his next deal if he were to leave Edmonton. I think if he stays in Edmonton, there's a hard argument to be, oh yeah, just give me let's do this new contract. Also, there's probably CBA stuff, whatever, all that, salary cap, obviously, all this stuff.
The problem with paying on delta in the NHL is that would eat up the whole salary cap. $138 million is more than the NHL.
I don't know if the NHL is built to be paid. They're not being paid.
Well, then in that case, it doesn't work for NBA too.
Yeah,
I think it's easier to work around the NBA because of the soft cap that they have. You're able to go up well over 30 million over.
So I think they've made changes this season.
Oh yeah.
They changed their CBA for next season because there was going to be a lockout. They made the penalties a lot harsher as you go higher into the tax brackets now, to try and deter some of the super team activity. Yeah. But I actually think even if it wasn't, I still think it'd be kind of prohibitive. And I was actually going to bring up an MLB example, but even
Shohei?
It would make total sense. But they also have the luxury tax too now.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say Shohei might genuinely be the closest North American comparison, and he's not even the Japanese prospect overseas. Man, his value to the MLB is probably comparable to it. I wouldn't even think I nothing's comparable to Messi. I don't think there's.
I think he's the closest though. I think you're right.
He's the closest, and it's
Wemby
by
might
half,
be the next
basically.
guy too. It could be Wemby.
Yeah. Well, it just depends on like how he
He has to
turns
actually
up,
live up to the hype.
basically,
Yeah.
right?
You
Yeah.
can't not as a
You can't
prospect.
like just come into the league and like fall
Bedard,
flat on
would you
his
do it
face.
for Bedard if he goes on? Let's say he has an 100-point season.
He
Or well, because no, he's on an entry level deal. So let's say 3 straight 100-point
so
seasons
300
for
points in 3
Bedard.
years.
If you
Right?
if
Like that's
if
yeah.
you're a team that's willing to pay on Delta, like the Blackhawks are the perfect team to do it. They have an established
Yeah.
legacy. They have they're one of the most valued franchises out of all of them, right? Like
Yeah.
the Delta from having Bedard wouldn't go up exponentially as opposed to having him on I don't know,
So
pick any mid-table
Do you
team.
do you
Okay.
want shares on whatever if it's Edmonton, do you want shares on like Sportsnet Now's subscription, or would you rather have it
But
on
Dave, those are pay
Chicago's?
splits. Pay splits are on top of whatever Messi could be getting in terms of like intrinsic value, right? Like
Yeah, okay, fair.
where I'm going with this is that like Messi's not selling himself as a
As a
uh
player, he is
as a
selling
player.
himself as a
he's a
product,
brand.
basically.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think
like
that this
it's like Michael Jordan, honestly, like just in terms of if you were to it's like bringing on an athlete for a commercial, right? You're not paying them for their
yes.
performance. It's not like Austin Matthews. We're paying you. We'll pay you 500,000 because you're such a good actor. You know, right? That's not paying for the acting skills.
No,
That's what
no.
it's like.
You're
You're
paying for
paying
the face, the brand value.
500,000 to bring back like 5 million, basically, right? You want
Yeah.
the return. Ben
Yeah.
99's not paying him to shoot, to do an accuracy competition on their things to pay him 500 grand. They're paying him to do
Yeah.
the accuracy competition on that thing. So you download the Ben 99 app and you put in a couple $100 and you bet on Austin Matthews to score. Like that's
And
what they're doing.
so here it's you're bringing in Messi so that you download Apple TV,
Apple
you
TV.
buy your Adidas jersey,
I'm
Adidas cleats,
I
fully
want
your
one
on
so
brand
kid.
of
bad.
buying a Inter.
I want
I
one
wanted
so
an Inter
bad
Miami jersey as soon as they
before.
oh,
So
when they
what's the
came into the
timeline
league.
here? Because isn't soccer like because this is mid-season, right? Or no, is it no, it's the end of the season now.
It's
So
it's like
the Premier
mid-season
League
for
the Premier League
MLS.
season
Yeah, at mid-season
ends
MLS,
and
you're
then
right.
MLS
So is he
it's
gonna like be
continuing.
playing here the next couple weeks?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah,
They have it set, I think, for like a July kind of start date. Another thing as well, all the
ticket prices.
prices
Oh
for
my
Yeah.
god.
not just the games at home, like the games in Inter
Away.
Miami, they shot up from it was like $50. I don't know if that was cheapest. I think cheapest ticket was 50 something dollars, which is
It's like
fine.
700.
It's a fine value. Like $58 for that team. They are bottom of the MLS right now in the Eastern Conference, at least. Yeah, it shot up to minimum. And this is face value. I don't even think I don't know if this is resale or if this is face value. Went up to like 450. Like that's how much of an increase is that? Like 500%?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Ridiculous. That's just
Almost
ridiculous,
tenfold.
right?
That's
Right?
crazy, man.
And the thing is
Uh,
they'll sell it out.
Yeah.
Like it's
So
not like it went up and they're not going to sell. Like they're going to sell it.
so do they still have a date with TFC here or no?
In
No,
Florida.
not this year. We played already. Damn it.
I know. I wanted to go so
September
bad.
20th. September 20th though, it's in Miami. So if you guys want to book a flight, maybe we should do it relatively soon.
Like I always had like a dream like watching Messi at the new camp, like their home stadium. Like it's always been something I've always wanted to see, and it's bothered me that there's a good chance I never will have that opportunity to see that anymore. I've seen Washington, I've seen the Capitals in Verizon, but I've always wanted to see Messi at the new camp, and it doesn't look like it's gonna happen anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, now you have to settle for Messi at. I honestly have no idea what their stadium's called. It's gonna be the Miami
FLA
Stadium.
Live Stadium.
We'll know soon. We will know the name of the Inter Miami Stadium.
Yeah, we
very
will,
shortly.
100%.
It's gonna be Leo Messi Stadium in 2 years.
Florida, South Florida this past month. Like, if you are a South Florida fan, like, could you ask for anything else?
Messi, Butler, Kachuk, and Luis Arias.
Luis Arias, man, hitting over 400 right now. It's a modern day record, something crazy.
I was like, how am I gonna finish this quartet?
Yeah, so Brian, to finish on your point, like how many players in world soccer would be able to demand something like that? It's Messi and it's Ronaldo. And we saw Ronaldo,
Mbappe or no? You
Mbappe
think?
and Holland.
Yeah,
yeah,
true, true.
I think right
Yeah.
now, no. I think in 10 years, yes. I think right now it's only Messi and Ronaldo, but Mbappe and Holland are on track. I don't even think Neymar's on
But Dave,
that.
this is the first domino. From now
Yes,
on, from this
yes.
point on, it's just like
Yeah,
what
so
could happen, right?
if it wasn't like Mbappe's not going to Toronto FC and saying I'm signing for your club, but the only way I'm doing it is if I get a share of TSN's revenue plus whatever, the to your point exactly,
Yeah.
right? Like Mbappe's not doing that. First of all, because he's not leaving Europe, and second of all, I don't think he has that type of power just yet. You mentioned something before. There are people who are you said like there are Capitals fans like yourself, and there are people who are Ovechkin fans.
Yes.
I think that in the one thing that I was
It's
gonna
the
make a
new
general
it's the TikTok kids that are
I
on
was
the
I was gonna make a general statement to say only team like that doesn't really happen in North American sports like it does in world football. But I think that that's not true. I think the NBA has a lot of like people. If Steph Curry were to
Yes.
move a team, people would
Yeah.
follow Steph Curry. But
LeBron.
it's LeBron. It's definitely more pronounced in football. People follow. You know, when Ronaldo made his move mid-season from Manchester United to go to Saudi Arabia, the following count that team, I think it's Al Nasser, they gained 11 million new Instagram followers within the first week of Ronaldo signing with that team. Like
is it
that
isn't there
is the
some
type of
stat?
I think it was the same thing though for Inter Miami.
Inter
yeah,
Miami is
I
the,
think,
the most
yeah, they've
followed
got
North
more than
American.
yeah.
Like
that's crazy. That's
And all of those people are
crazy.
people who have been following Messi since
Everywhere.
he was a child at Barcelona. And for the most part, they've only seen like a lot of Messi fans have been, they've been Barcelona fans most of their life. Then for a couple of years they had to make a stop in Paris, but now they're going to become Miami fans. With Ron, it was kind of more, he left Portugal as a kid. He went to England for a good stretch. He became a star there. Then he blew into superstardom in
it's
Madrid,
Spade.
left Madrid, went to Juventus and Torino in Italy, and then he headed back to his boyhood club. Like he's kind of like it's more pronounced with him, I think, because people follow Ronaldo the brand, I think, a little bit more than Messi the brand.
It's just how
But
it
I
is as a person, yeah.
but I think
Raul sells himself
It's a
better.
personality thing.
yeah,
Yes.
that is another thing too. That yeah, like Ronaldo has always sold himself a
Yeah.
lot better. Messi has let his skills on
His
the field
plays were, yeah.
do the
Yeah.
Yes.
talking.
That's like
Uh,
McDavid doesn't even have close to the personality of Messi. Forget Ronaldo. So like that's why like hockey
Yes.
you really need the right person. NBA it's they're almost taught to be that way. NHL you're taught the opposite. Taught to
I
suppress
Not sell
that.
yourself.
I have
Yes.
another question,
Yeah.
Brian, in particular. Do you think we will ever get to see another Messi versus Ronaldo? Like I don't care about friendlies because they did a friendly
I don't
between the
count
two of
friendlies
them.
either.
But do you think Ron, because he's still, I would say Ron still has another 2 to 3 years as well, even though he's 37, which is insane. But the guy he keeps himself in the top, like the best form of probably any male athlete. Do we see him see what Messi does, see what Messi got? Because I think in the long run, Messi's coming out on top of the earnings battle. Like he will end up making more than Ron, which is crazy because at the time it was like Ronaldo was offered 200 million euros a year
No,
for
this is the first time a $1.6 billion sporting contract's ever been offered, right? So
yeah.
I
Does
I think
Ron see that type of money
and want
and
to come to the MLS.
get tempted to come over?
Okay, so let's do this based on the idea of a brand new team bringing in a superstar. What are potential new teams in MLS? I don't know, like
Um
San Diego.
Nashville.
Yeah,
National has a team.
you're saying ones that
Oh,
are
okay.
coming in. It's like it's San Diego.
Yeah.
I think another team was being
Are you
looked
talking?
at.
Are you
Vegas,
talking
maybe,
about this
like in the
for like
future.
what?
Like
For
if
like
if
what
it
Messi's gonna buy,
like
or
if
for
another team is gonna do exactly what Inter Miami did, they come into the
but with
league.
Ronaldo?
Yes. Like which team would want the superstar of power to like to do
Dude,
that?
I think
I
Vegas is actually a
think
really good show.
Yes, like if it's Las
Vegas.
Vegas,
Yeah.
if it's
Wow.
like San Diego, a team like a city like that, somewhere that
I don't
like
think San Diego's too
Are
small. I know
are
it's
we
like
yeah,
sure? Are we sure it's not going to be a pre-existing team? Like I could
that's what
see
I
New
think.
York
Yeah,
City FC, backed
it,
by the Manchester City group
if it's
coming
yeah.
in.
if it's gonna
Who's
be if it's gonna be a pre-existing franchise, it's like they're not
Right.
bringing as much value as it is if it's a brand new franchise, right? If it's a brand new franchise, there's more incentivization to bring him in.
But Inter's not really like they're a relatively like they're not an expansion franchise. It's not like Messi went to St. Louis, who this is their first season
No, I
in the
know, but
MLS,
like
right? But they are relatively new. I understand what you're saying. But you couldn't see a team like
you
LA,
know what?
the LA
I'll
Galaxy have a long track record of bringing in top European talent, and also bringing them in and winning. Like they have a winning culture in Los Angeles.
I'm gonna change my answer. I'm gonna say strictly no. There's more
Yeah.
incentive for Adidas to bring in Messi than it is for like like Ronaldo's
Well,
not
he
an
is,
Adidas athlete. He's a
yeah,
Nike athlete. There's
yeah,
no reason for him to bring
that was another
Ronaldo in.
thing too,
So
right? Is that Adidas is signed, like Messi is signed under Adidas and has been Adidas's golden boy for the last 20 years.
there's no
Ron is
yeah.
a
Why would
is
you
he a
want to
Screw
Nike
support
it.
another
athlete?
guy's
He's a
brand?
Nike athlete, right?
Yeah.
Give me Ronaldo on the Columbus Crew. Let's go.
Imagine Ronaldo
Sporting KC boys. Let's go. Let's go.
spearheading a Toronto FC attack, playing on Lakeshore Boulevard.
Yeah, but okay,
Oh
but they're
God.
like Toronto would be like absolutely rowdy as hell. It'd be
Oh,
crazy.
if
But
it's
like
if you have the two Italians and that little Portuguese spearheading the attack, oh my God, that would be a uniting moment in Toronto history. You're getting the
that's
Italians and
true.
the
That's true.
Portuguese to tie flags together and wave
That
them
would
around.
that would have also been a Serie A's
World
team of the
peace.
season in 2019.
That would have been Serie A's
Ah.
team of the season in 2019.